Hello and welcome to Chris's Corner. I'm Chris Fichtel. Tonight we're going to be interviewing Walt Clyde Frazier, two-time NBA champion, NBA Hall of Famer, and the Knicks' all-time leader in assists. How you doing tonight, Clyde?
I'm doing good.
Thanks for coming on our show. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Now, Clyde, you were the eldest of 9 children growing back up. What was it like being a role model at such a young age, and how did that help you out during your sports career?
Well, it definitely gave me a lot of competition to deal with, so I knew how to deal with, a lot of, if you want something, you got to go out there and get it, and you got to compete for it. So that's kind of where I got my start from. So, growing up in a large family is kind of like having a team, and so it kind of went hand in hand.
You were the first athlete with a shoe named after them back in the day. Now with all these new athletes, with everyone has their own signature shoe, do you feel like you were the front runner and you started the whole trend?
Well, I think I would like to think that, but it's now if it's more, you're seeing more and more of it, but there was guys that had their own, like Joe Namath had his own brand or something. I mean, it wasn't that much, but you did see it, not like today. But so I like to think that I was a trendsetter, so to speak.
Absolutely. Now, back in the day, the Knicks and the Lakers had one of the all-time great rivalries that you were a part of with Hall of Famers like Elgin Baylor, Jerry West, Wilt Chamberlain. What was that like? Was that your best rivalry, would you say, with the Lakers?
Well, yeah, because they were, we were up and coming. We played the Lakers, in the finals, and we didn't have the star power that the Lakers had. We had guys that knew how to get the job done. Bill Bradley, Dave DeBusschere, Earl Monroe, myself. We knew how to get the job done. Red Holzman as our coach, he knew when to put people in, when to take people out. We knew how to work together. So, but the Lakers gave us our biggest fits. But you know what? It's you don't have the rivalries like that much anymore. Probably the closest a Knicks rivalry came, but was probably the Knicks Bulls back in the 90s.
I'd say so as well. Now, your Knicks teams played a beautiful flowing team style of basketball. You don't really see that too many times these days. The Spurs, maybe the Atlanta Hawks with Budenholzer, but why do you think these teams aren't going back to that basketball that clearly won you guys 2 titles back in the day?
Well, you got to understand, I think the game now, that you don't see a lot of, as I always like to call, a lot of swishing and dishing out there, Now it's more like you're taking the street game and you're bringing the street game onto the basketball court, right. And the artistic way of playing the game, the flow, the way to dance out there with the ball and the movements and stuff. You don't really see too much of it anymore. Now it's almost like East-West basketball. And, I think probably the closest team now that will give you the ball movement, that'll make it like watching poetry in motion, if you will. Maybe the Spurs a little bit. The Warriors now, I think, have that ability. But, it's basically East-West basketball. And back in our day, it was almost like a protege of watching the Harlem Globetrotters play with all that different style of movement, and I miss that.
Right. Now, in 1987, you were named to the Hall of Fame. When you came into the NBA, was that your top goal, would you say, to get to the Hall of Fame?
Well, I think your top goal when you come into the game today, you want to go out there and make the team and stay with the team. And then you want to win a championship. That's the goal. You come in there, you want to win. Whatever happens after that, I think you don't start really thinking about maybe the possibility of entering a Hall of Fame or something, probably until maybe 10 years after, as you're into your career, you're putting up great numbers, and maybe you think you have a shot at it, but that's the last thing you think about. But once you do get picked, it's a great honor because it basically puts an exclamation point to what you've done in your career.
Now, following with that, you were named to the NBA All-Time Team, which some people would say is even more prestigious than the Hall of Fame because it's only down to 50 players. Would you say that ranks at the top of your list of accomplishments, or is it around the same?
Well, I think when you can go and be recognized by your peers as being one of the great players of the game, I mean, that says a lot. I think it's just almost like, being enshrined in the Hall of Fame because, you accomplished something that, not a lot of players get the opportunity,
right.
To do. So I would put this right up there with that.
All right. The Knicks stumbled upon some hard times recently, even as far back as the last 15, 20 years. What do you think it's going to take to get the Knicks out of this hole that they've dug themselves in?
Well, I think they're going in the right direction. I think they need to, the big thing is the contracts and the salary cap issue. I think they signed a lot of guys and it just gave them bad deals. I think if we can go out there and get ourselves some younger players to kind of go along with the style that Phil Jackson wants to play, I think we're going to be going in the step, making a step in the right direction. But it's been going on too long, though. It's just when you think we're turning the corner, we take a couple of steps back, and so But you know what? Again, we just got to go out there and find that chemistry, and that's what's missing here.
Now, after your NBA career, you retired, you went back to the islands, but then in 1989, you came back to be the broadcaster for the New York Knicks. How does that, what made you realize that you wanted to pursue broadcasting? Did you realize that back when you were a player, or is it something that came later for you?
Well, when you want to still be part of the game, and that's the key. It was being part of the game. Well, obviously, I can't play anymore. I had no aspirations of being a coach or a general manager. So, what's the next best thing of being part of the game is going to the broadcast booth. And I had done some broadcasting while I was still playing, so I always had the aspirations to go and basically be a broadcaster. And, I thought with the right coaching, broadcast coaching, I could do it and look at what I've done. I've been there for, a number of years, and working with Marv has helped me a great deal. Mike Breen has been great working with these years. So it's been a lot of fun.
All right, now Clyde, one of your most prominent features, I'd say, about you is your suits, your style, your wordisms. They call them Clydeisms these days. Where did all that come from? Were you always like that as a kid, or did you come out?
I always liked the poetry. I was always into, the rhymes and so forth. And, I just began to, it just was like a style that I had, and that's why I decided, the swishing and the dishing and, things. It's just one of those things that I just began to, I started looking up words after a while. I said, well, what rhymes with this, and how can I make that work? And it almost became like a signature thing for me. So I enjoy it. Sometimes it worked when you got a boring ball game, and it enlightens the broadcast, so to speak.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Clyde. That's all the time that we have for today, but it's been
pleasure.
Great interviewing you. That's all the time we have on Chris's Corner. Good night.